You're listening to the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, brought to you in part by the Gumball Head Sobriety Society and generous listeners just like you. For the latest updates, check out the link in our bio. Good morning, law listeners and constitutional auditors. It's your host, Gumball Head, with the January 30th edition of the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast, brought to you in part by -3, and that's the degrees that it is outside. Good morning. -3 outside here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Cold. Roads are clear, so we're doing a podcast, recording anyway. Skies look like the ground. They're gray and look like they're about ready to spew forth some more snow. And the snow is ground with a little bit of gray. So it looks like it's already been snowed on. It's kind of a mirror image. But it's cold nonetheless. It's Friday. We made it through the week, folks. So happy that you're here. So thankful that you're here. So blessed that you're here listening to another episode of the Normal Isn't Necessary podcast. I hope everybody's doing well. Today is the 30th of January. Tonight, the awaited song, the new song by our new friend Alexandra, is being dropped on all of her social media. Make sure that you go and check that out. And then February 2nd, she's playing the Viper Room in Los Angeles, California. So stay tuned. She's a rock star. We had a good conversation with her last week. I didn't get a chance to get her edited and uploaded before, so we'll get it done before she plays the Viper Room. If you're listening, Alex, sorry. It's been a crazy week. Been very busy. So first of all, let me talk about personal life a little bit. A lot of you guys know hashtag Rennie Talk. He is the founder of Rainbow Cat for Clubfoot Kids. He is basically he's the front man. He's the leader of the band. He is the one that is doing the things that he can for Clubfoot kiddos, and we're working on getting him a little bit more visible, building up some content so that we can drop a bunch of stuff on YouTube when we launch this page. He's been doing some skate videos. He's been doing some drawing, doing some art, and we're going to start getting ready to drop all of his stuff out there as stickers and start raising some money for Clubfoot Kids. It's been a slow build, but, he's 5, so his attention span's about as long as mine is. Maybe with a little bit more or a little less attention to detail, but nonetheless, that's where we're at. Getting ready to drop that. Hashtag Rudy Talk. His 3.5-year-old sister. Sorry, if I say 3, I get corrected. 3.5-year-old sister. 2 successful trips to the eye doctor, no problems. And I'm giving you guys this update because I have family that listens to this podcast, and we just don't talk. We get occasional messages from each other, or a video sent to each other, or a GIF or whatever, but it's my way of informing family and friends that listen to see how things are going for our family. But anyway, Rudy Talk, she's had 2 successful visits to the eye doctor, no issues, so no glasses for her in the foreseeable future, potentially a little bit later in life. She is often confused as the big sister because she is much more pronounced than Rennie Talk is. But Baby Marbles has had some, not necessarily failed health, but some struggles with her health since she was born. She's got bilateral lazy eye. She's been visiting an ophthalmic surgeon at the Cincinnati Children's Hospital yesterday. It sounds like when she went in, she might have to have surgery to correct her lazy eyes, both of them. They don't think that it's affecting her vision yet, but it will. And it sounds like it's a very simple procedure. Ibuprofen and Tylenol is a recovery aspect. So, but she is definitely going to be having that. And Monday, she's having mouth surgery. So, what a wonderful world. We got a 2-year-old that's struggling with these things, and she's gonna hate the doctors by the time she's 5. She just is. Aside from that, baby, unnamed still. Listeners are obviously struggling to tell us what to name our kid. But baby number 7, still unnamed. If you have suggestions, please send those suggestions to us. NormalIsn'tNecessaryPodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what your names are. It's a girl. We need a first and a middle. You can throw us your baby boy names too. Just let us know what your names are and what you think of them. Some ideas that maybe you've had for babies, and who knows? Maybe we'll name our child the name that you wanted for your kid. So help us out here, folks. This is the baby number 7, so we're running out of names here. We're running out of cool stuff. So all of our kids have really cool names, and we want to keep that trend going. But we're not partial to anything. Traditional, unique, interesting, ethnical. Why not? Whatever. Throw them out there. So we would love that to happen. This is officially, let's see here, 2026. So our podcast was founded in 2022, tail end of 2022. 2023, throughout the entire course of the year, we had less than 100 downloads. 2024, we had less than 500 downloads. 2025, we jumped over 7,000 downloads. 2025, almost 7,700 downloads. Now, I know as a small-time podcaster that it takes time to build a brand, it takes time to build things. But here's the coolest thing. You guys are making this happen. I simply record our show. I promote it. I talk about it. I tell people about it. I let people know, hey, we got a podcast. Oh, what's your podcast about? Here's a quick synopsis for you. Our podcast is primarily focused around mental health, men's mental health primarily, but mental health nonetheless. We're in partnership with our life partner, with our significant other, our wife, our social media manager, my ex-girlfriend, my baby mama. I'm in partnership with her for mental health. And I'm not always the best. We'll get to that in a moment. Music. Obviously, we love music. We love interviewing musicians, and we don't care the size of your fame or your fortune, whether you are a solo singer, songwriter with 5 downloads on YouTube, or a national touring act with millions of followers. We don't care. Because we're not talking to you about your fame. We're not talking to you about your fortune. We're talking to you about music. We're talking to you about that purpose that drives everyone. And when it comes to the music scene, there's that level of arrogance that's there. It rests. I've seen it. I've felt it. I've observed it. I've interviewed it. I've talked to people. But I've never, ever once shamed anybody or condemned anybody for them being proud of their accomplishments as a musician. I've lauded them. But getting to know the different aspects of music and the things that music, the joy that music brings collectively to everybody, that's where I'm sitting at. That's what I want to know. How does it make you feel? And then the last thing is addiction and recovery. We do talk about addiction and recovery to a lot of our guests because we've all got something that we overindulge in. We all have something that we have overindulged in life and had to figure out a way to overcome that, be it drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling, addiction, or it could even be, along the lines of technology or, attention. Drama addiction is a thing. There's a lot of things that we fall victim to that we don't even know. And it's not always psychological. Sometimes it's chemical. It's not always chemical. Sometimes it's psychological. So addiction is addiction. It doesn't matter what the substance is. It's the behaviors that are attached to it. And that's where a lot of people misunderstand why we have a addiction and recovery focused podcast. Is because we're not talking about the necessarily chemical attachment to, or chemical attraction rather. We're talking about the chemical process in our body that whatever that overindulgence brings to us is what brings us that pleasure. And most of the time, 99% of the time, that pleasure is temporary. that pleasure is temporary. And I say that pleasure is temporary because of this. I have children. I have a lot of kids. Six out, one cooking. And that right there tells you that early on in my relationship, I had a sex addiction. It wasn't even necessarily a sex addiction. It was a orgasm addiction. I was an orgasm addict. And that was a co-addiction that was attached to my alcoholism. It was a co-addiction that was attached to my negative self-esteem, my poor mental health, my PTSD, my disassociation with society, my feeling of being alone, my curiosity as a person, and it resulted in, promiscuity and infidelity, and it resulted in multiple different variables in my life that I'm not proud of, but I'm proud that I came out of them. Primarily the monogamy portion of my life. I am very proud of where I've come, and my wife knew my downfalls, my shortcomings, and she was fully aware of the things that I presented to the world in negative aspects because of the behaviors that I had. And it was a co-addiction. I just wanted to get drunk and have sex. That was it. That was like my goal every single day, was if I could get laid and get drunk at the same day, my goal for the day was met. My addiction was filled for the day. Now, mind you guys, this is years and years ago, okay? 7 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And it's taken me a long time to come out of my shell and actually talk about these things. It's like my sober addiction to cannabis. It didn't last very long. It lasted about 8 months, where I was talking about and advocating cannabis. And as I started to talk about that, I started to become more and more aware of the perils of cannabis potential. I still don't think that cannabis is an addictive drug, but I do think that the behaviors attached to it become addictive. I don't think cannabis itself is the addiction, because if you look at cannabinoids and you look at terpenes and the way that they work on our body, we're not chasing that high that you would with an opiate. We're not chasing that high that you would with alcohol. We're chasing that comfort level that comes with the sedation effects of the cannabis or THC. So a very different chemical process when it comes to ingestion of THC versus an opiate or even tricyclic antidepressants or, anything that has to do with changing the chemical makeup of our body. Now, just like smoking a cigarette, THC has its inherent health risks, and there are problems, and there are issues that can be associated with it. But I think that when it comes to addiction to THC, it has more to do with the behavioral addiction than it does the actual addiction itself. But I don't know. I'm not a professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I give advice. It's not always clinical. But I do try to come from a clinical aspect of things and explain these things. But I shoot from the hip. I talk about the real deal stuff. I talk about the things that I've experienced in my life. I share them with people. I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm more of a scorecard coach, if you will. So I got to make sure I keep that clear. I have a background in behavioral psychology. I have a background with a specialized focus in alcohol and drug addiction. I have a background in being an addict myself. And there are a lot of podcasts out there that do talk about drugs and addiction and overcoming that addiction, the adversity. And there are a lot of podcasts out there that talk about music, and there are a lot of podcasts out there that talk about mental health. But this is the only one where you're going to get all three in one, where we can talk about all three of those topics in one podcast and not even realize that we're talking about all three topics in one podcast, because we blend them in so well, because we make them feel as if they are real life. The reality of it is all three of those do tie together in real life. I've already talked about all three of them in very specific terms and very personal terms in just this podcast alone, and we're only 15 minutes in. So, and for that, thank you for being here, by the way. We appreciate each and every one of you guys. Keep downloading it. Keep promoting the podcast, saying, hey, I got a friend that talks about, miscellaneous stuff. He's got a lot of production out there. Almost 500 episodes of our podcast. between the 3 different series that we do, the Road Rants, the Live Drive at 5-ish with our co-host Together Light, and our Get to Know You series, where we interview guests and we talk to them about mental health, music, and addiction and recovery, or mental health, or recovery, or music. It just depends on how the conversations go. So, but we enjoy all of our guests too. We make them aware of what they're getting into. If you want to be a guest on our show, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. Normal Isn't Necessary Podcast at gmail.com. Reach out to us there. Take a listen. See what we got to offer. If you don't like the episode that you're listening to, move on to the next one. You'll find something valuable in almost every single one of our podcasts. I say almost every single one of them because not all of them are, fantastic. But for the most part, they're entertaining and they're informational. And that's our goal, is to give you a good quality podcast with good quality information from real life experiences so that you don't think that we're made up. We do take a lot of our information from our guests from the past or from the people that we interact with on a regular basis. We give real life examples of the things that we've experienced. Because we want people to understand that you're not doing this alone. You never will do this alone. There's always going to be somebody out there that can loosely identify with what you're going through, if not fully identify. And that's our goal, is to connect you with those people. Those people are following us on our podcast. They're supporters on TikTok. And they are people that interact with us on our website. Speaking of our website, www.gumballhead.com. Jump over there for all the up-to-date stuff on Normal Isn't Necessary Podcast, hashtag Running Talk. All of our links are there. Our links to our YouTube channel, where you can find Running Talk playing Skate or Fortnite. You can see me playing Warzone. Check it out. But until our paths cross, stay strong, stay focused, stay sober. Much love, guys. We'll see you all soon.